We are a consumer-driven economy. If the consumer is trying to save, that's not good for a consumer-driven economy. But if you're sitting there watching your principal disappear and you're not spending it, it's disappearing because of negative rates, then what are you more likely to do? Take that money, exactly, spend it. Take that money, put it somewhere where it might have some chance of holding its value as a tool of barter. Well, again, if you read their documentation, this is all part of the plan where, they can dictate how you spend it, where you spend it, how much of it you can spend. If you can't, how long this currency lives, right? So, it sounds like there's an opportunity for social scoring to me. What do you think? And this is why it's so critical to get control of it now, for us to all come together in community and say no and buy gold, which is actually, and silver, but mostly gold because that's the primary currency metal and it's proven for thousands of years, but it truly is outside of the system. So they want you in the system because then they can control your behavior. A great example is price stability. What do you and I, the normal person, would assume that price stability means prices don't change, right? Wouldn't that be your assumption?
That would be, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's not what price stability is. Price stability is a low enough level of inflation so that you, the individual, don't ask for more pay because you're not trying to combat the inflation. So if they can keep it at 2%, then, hey, you don't ask for more money and they get to rob you. You're actually volunteering, because even when you get those raises do not keep pace with inflation. And so your standard of living actually declines. You take on more debt to try and maintain it. Gosh, in 1971, the average wage was like $9,500, and a family of four could live with one wage earner.
That's right.
Today, it's like $57,000, something like that, and you need two wage earners. And what did they stimulate? Under $150,000. I've been watching Bitcoin since it was $7. All right. So I've been watching it for a long time.
Me too.
And I know that in the Bank for International Settlements money flower, there is a very small pedal that enables or allows or has room for some kind of private cryptocurrencies. Whether or not that will be Bitcoin, I'm not really sure. To be honest with you, I see a lot of adoption from Wall Street, which makes me uncomfortable. Right.
Ah, okay.
Okay. So at this moment, I own no cryptocurrencies, no Bitcoin, none of that. I don't imagine that's going to be true into the future. But, I read the NSA 1996 white paper on how to create a mint, and seemed to be an awful lot of similarities between that white paper and Bitcoin. And I was also there in January. Now, I didn't see it just as it came out, but Bitcoin came out in January of 2009.
Yes.
And QE started in March of 2009. So for me, that seems awfully coincidental. People get blinded by numbers. That's why it's important for the stock market to go up or cryptocurrencies to go, or whatever it is, right? And why it's also important to suppress the visible price of gold through the spot market, because there's an unlimited amount of that. But last time I checked, $1 trillion times zero was still zero. And here's where I have a challenge. What is, besides being able to put your Bitcoin on a little zip drive and put it in your pocket and take it wherever you go, which I think is a very important function. Other than that, what's its functionality, and what other areas besides the financial area can this be used in? gold is used in every single area of the global economy. So it's used in the financial system, but it's also used in electronics. It's used in medicine. It's used in space travel. It's used in food. It's used in art. It's used in jewelry, right? So you have the broadest base of functionality and the broadest base of buyer. That's why it's never gone to zero, right? Because they still haven't been able to figure out the qualities of gold and duplicate that in a lab, right? So when I'm asking what other areas can Bitcoin be used in, it's the same thing with the dollars. It's only used in the financial area. That's it. The functionality of being able to move it on a little thumb drive that's the best part of it for me.
Yes.
But let's go to confiscation for a second.
Sure.
Because my Uncle Al showed me in 1964, my parents and I were at his house, and he goes, come here, I want to show you something. And he took us in a back bedroom where there were 2 tall floor safes. Now, you're right. You couldn't legally own more than 5 ounces of gold in 1964, except for the way that he had them. Because in those 2 tall floor safes, when he opened the door, you couldn't fit 1 more gold coin in there. But since he was a major antique dealer, he'd go into these high-end homes, and he was probably buying the coins for spot, but they were all pre-1933, which were exempt from confiscation. So personally, I do not, and this has not always been true. There was a time when yes, indeed, I did own bullion, but I do not own bullion at all because I do think that there will indeed be another confiscation. So I own it in the way that is least likely to get confiscated, which are the collectibles, because some of those coins are going for $15 million for 1 ounce of gold. It is the currency against gold. That's how those overnight revaluations, they take something that has no intrinsic value, so in this country, dollars, and they revalue it against something that is all intrinsic value, which is gold, because of its many uses. So I can buy those collectible coins well below the true fundamental value of 1 ounce of gold, which is somewhere north of $15,000 right now. And I am covered whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong. Who do you think owns that $15 million 1 ounce gold coin? Most likely either somebody that writes the laws, like Treasury Secretary Wooden did in 33, or somebody that has the ability to influence those,